run all of these horrific tests on them. We have a website, www.danceranddevil.com. There we have photographs, lots of information, other media, news, and we invite people to visit the site to learn more.
And they can also buy it on Amazon if they want to, but we hope they'll buy it on our own website. But anyway, we've written 2 other books that were both bestsellers. We wrote this book, and it's harder with this book because of the influence of the Chinese, frankly, on the publishing and on the...
You said that your book was hacked. Did you ever find out who hacked it? While Sarah was writing this book, her drafts were hacked, and much of it was deleted.
Well, so we hired the computer forensic expert, and then I contacted them again after we learned the manuscripts were deleted. We ran a multitude of tests. Apple ran tests. It was concluded that the breach happened in the Apple iCloud as opposed to on my hard drive, my computer. And so that should hit home for everyone, because who doesn't save documents into the cloud? I thought it was safe. I was password protected, and easily a year's worth of work was deleted.
So it disappears in the cloud, and you can't track the cloud. But what they all told us, everybody was sort of a smile, is that there's only one government in the world that owns owning the Apple cloud. They said that China owns the Apple cloud. So anything that goes into the Apple cloud, China has.
Have a backup on a flash drive, I learned.
We've loved being on your show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We really enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This computer is getting really hot. This is a very soft soup. Let's have a look. So, at the moment, this is what heat does to you. So, they're controlling the screen. The computer is controlled. The webcam is not covered, but I know what they're doing. Yeah, thought so. Doesn't matter. Right. So basically, whoever gets to hear this, just be careful out there. In England is all planned. All this is all events are planned. A certain individual, again, 3:30 AM in the morning. I don't know how many hours I've had lack of sleep again, and it's about 27 degrees right now, and tomorrow, Monday, and it will eventually go back down eventually, but now I'm looking at more planned strikes. So, right, I don't know if I can screen share this article. This is mainstream news anyway, take a pinch of salt, but I'll share this information in case people are not aware. Plan accordingly. I like going out on a Sabbath, but because my bloody banking app thing is playing up and I need help to sort it out, I need to physically go in there to help me the individual staff to help me sort it out, because it just, I don't know what I'm doing wrong with it. Both these apps, especially banking apps. But I need to be it's like anybody, I'm having to use the little left I've got just to get a few basic important supplies in. It's not much, it's just I need to do it today because I do not want to go out at all the next few days, and I need to stay in and protect myself. Nurses threaten to strike. They reject the 5% pay offer and demand 16%. With me, I've got to turn the Wi-Fi. Nursing in England has set out a case of 16% pay rise. This is public purse. They want money. 5% above current 11% level of inflation. What about all those other people that don't work in directors? Okay. What about all that? They're all businesses. This is all about. Just investigate the Bank of England and the bank. Inflation is going to go stuff. Old fashioned. Wind up radio. I haven't got, not that you're going to get much. I've got the printouts, got the evidence of all corporations, public or private. But in the mainstream media, I'm going to quote it as it states. The government will agree to pay rise of just 5% for the 2 million public sector workers, which include nurses, teachers, police, civil servants. You see, don't you realise the AI technology of all this? The advancement in technology to replace by remote biotechnology with the medical side. Drones, technology, and Neuralink into replacing for European Union, one police, one government, one, all this, all linked together with the world. For example, the western side of the world, so anyway. It's all by design. There's patterns and documents you can research, educateyourself.org. Just have a dig around and you see why all this is nothing new. Okay. And extreme weather is it's a mixture, in my opinion only, anyway, of harp, comets, Nebrew, Women, Saints Bible, I mean, whatever scripture domination, spiritually one may be, you can invest if you want. So, members of the armed forces, military defence company, I've got all these old documents. Cabinet ministers told the Financial Times, I mean, come on, look who owns the Bank of England, or the board of directors, and look into the bloodline families. So, to sign up for the membership. It's a contract. It's the terms and conditions of the employment. It goes on, due to the high levels of inflation, this will be a significant real rate terms of the workers and other public sectors. So they're all part of unions. The unions are even limited companies. So also they're proposing, and I'm not sure because I haven't into them. You've also got train strikes again, overpaying conditions. It's all to break down the infrastructure. Okay. If you don't know, Agenda 2030 is already here, especially in my area. And if you don't know about universal basic income, I'm learning that. Just one income, one currency, one digitalisation, what it already is. It's numbers on a computer. Right. So, no nurse ever wants to take industrial action. Don't forget, what about the depopulation alleged program? Right? What about Waymail PLC is a corporation and its terms and conditions on employment. From Wednesday onwards, be aware if you're in England, postal service strikes. And be careful in case you're TI targeted individual and you get set up and suddenly you have all this mail come to you after and you have all this cost for responding. Because don't forget, if you try send your compromised emails, internet, and even your posts get tampered with. But don't forget, the only one thing I'm doing today is I need to cover myself. And there's no guarantee that suddenly the banks will crash, like in China, a bank run. Suddenly, the heat, the weather from tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday, right? By Wednesday, massive potential thunderstorms, potential power cuts, even more. So if you've got your battery operated, lights and people in my situation, just be careful. Just be careful. Because anything is predictable. These are. And then, what else? The one on the rail on the postal strikes, I've got that somewhere. I have a notification. But as I can see the taken over cursor. This involves okay, so let's have a look. The outgoing Boris Johnson, it goes into that. And the newly appointed health minister goes into that, was urged to end the delay announcing a pay rise as the public support strikes rose. Be careful about the you-know-what coming back in the new lockdowns again. Nothing new, but again it might be proposed. If you don't know that social worker, socialist worker, it is actually set up as a company. Look how their psychological tactics are. With the mask wearing, with the fight for NHS. NHS England is not a company. Its head office is in Leeds in England. Then you've got NHS Digital Limited Company. It's all about changing. Yeah, these are demonic times we're living in. So, as you can see, the rail services as well, some of them. A second summer. Look, this new comes in all rail unions. Second strike threatens indisputable pay. Goes into which areas. And don't forget the full moon. The lunar full moons, a period of time. These Illuminati, the entities need rituals, don't they? And they have to do all these planned events. And there's a darker side of this Earth, Luciferian, in my opinion. So, Yeah, that perpetrator number 7, right? I can't tell you what they're doing all overnight. Okay. Get rid of that one. Posty is skipping millions of posts. A perpetrator, he's flat 2. Actually, just check my function. It's really sprayed out. Wow, the whole sky is sprayed out. Right, get out there. Very controlled. Right, also be aware. The Royal Mail Postal Services launched Ofcom investigation into the company's failures delivering targets of post. Anyway. This is posted on 5th of July 2022. It's a company, by the way, and frequencies are strong. 5G frequencies are strong still. Right, so basically it's set to strike from this forthcoming Wednesday to Friday. This week coming, although a bit to work. But it says men and women of both individuals have been forced to scan 1 million addresses, well, it's not addresses, it's your private ones, every day amid a staffing crisis. Really? So threatening industrial actions across the country are being left without the deliveries for days on end, and be careful because they're pushing everything to go more than ever, or digitalisation, aren't they? And as well the stats, you know, with the barcode on them as well, perhaps, you know, and industrial action threatens to the process of summer. So that this one is next one's onwards. Yeah, but all those waiting letters, yeah, these particular agents, not saying everyone, but certain individuals are targeting and blocking services. I've had a lot of this BS go on with this too. So, the agents working for the corporation is required in statute law, which I investigated, known as Universal Postal Service Agreement, delivering and collecting letters 6 days a week. It can be fined for missing targets, but the corporation can afford it because they're worth a fortune. And I investigated for a business account not that long ago. Delays have been claiming people having to, because of certain effects you know what, and the heat. Well, don't forget, if you believe this is climate change, good luck on that one. The summer of discontent starts. Okay, there's more than that. Related articles. It's more than this. This is already pre-planned. So it will start during the last week of July. Now, bin men. Oh my God, I can't make this up. The contracts. When you know how business and commerce works, it's all business and contracts and commerce. So, in this article, the bin men, or every town and city is contracted outsourcing, and managerial justice and the company's agents, i.e., their employees, must check the good telecom services. Don't forget, you need an alternative handheld walkie-talkie set if you've got people you can trust to talk with, that is. Beating out Bitcoin, the whale. Look, they all want to crash. They all want to create a reset of all services, all LinkedIn public or private contractors. And civil professionals in a huge coordinated strike action to bring England, Great Britain to its knees. Good gosh. In addition to a planned 24-hour strike at a rail, is the Agenda 2030 is here. It's really Agenda 50, these policies are. Now BT outreach workers join with their own industrial action. Refuse collection workers in the West are also joining with their own strikes. This also is published 15th July 2022, set to bring Britain to its knees later in the month. The start of August, union workers set to walk out their jobs and kickstart summer discontent. So if you're off and joining whatever break you are and funding for that, isn't it nice to save what you've got and invest what you can and be safe and look at your security in your home and invest in first aid and portable fire defence services yourself, just in case anything could happen. Just in case, it's just always just prepared, just in case if you're able to. So, and don't forget there is a full moon on July 29th and coming up in August too this year. Don't know naturals though. When they go on strike on the 29th and 1st in a dispute over pay, bin men court staff will also hold industrial action and threaten to cause chaos. And they reviewing justice left untouched. So just be prepared. Hold on, I get into my computer. Right. It's all about business. They are, if the public's paying towards these services, and what should they be paying in the terminology of council tax when all this is the breach of contract, council tax, is coming out of the public purse. And if you know anything about certain subjects, and I've got a gut feeling why this certain perpetrator is the main. Some of this will impact the Commonwealth Games, so I won't miss that one, which are being held in Birmingham on July the 28th. With refuse and Westminster's going on strike action will be a bit appeal to follow for the public. They want some unrest, like what's going on in other countries. We're already out to deal with travel chaos, so let's have a look. I look at a movie called Children of Men. It shows you what the future looks like when they want you to stay in your own town cities. So it goes into, well, strikes in August, last week in August this year. Let's have a look through the article. So yeah, just be aware mobile networks might not work either. Be aware in case your landline has a problem, it gets overloaded. I think you need about using pigeons in the old days. I think we're going back in history. It's worth investigating people did communicate in a way before this technology, so-called technology came about. Just in case. I know they've got satellites up, you might want a satellite phone, but I can't afford one. It's just what military style. Look at military style if you can get on different platforms and find some military. We're making videos about how to cope with literally practically nothing. I know how to do certain things with nothing. Certain days I was raised and how I was raised, I was taught that way. Now watch out for the keywords when they use sustainability, sustainable, because it's all within the documents for the globalist elites use. Those involved in the world after the original telecom infrastructure. You see, this is what they're hinting at. Mobile phone connections, broadband, internet, and backup operators to national health systems, cybersecurity data. Okay, any money in account, banks. And the heat is going to cause problems, and more heat or something happens. Asteroids, comets affecting the Earth. You ain't going to have people out there to warn the systems. They might bring in the military. Well, if some of them are going on strike, who's going to take over? What? Bringing in the connections and contracts for EU. Who knows? Anything's possible for any false flag events. So, be aware of that. And for any event, especially extreme heat, what they're expecting. This will be the first strike since the BT Group in 1987, the first national call centre workers' strike. They want people working at home. Virtual reality, headsets on and all that stuff. For the first time since 1987. It's the BT Group's a corporation. It is not the case of an employer refusal to meet a union's demands. This is about an employer refusing to meet us whatsoever. The article can easily be read. It comes up as a refuse collection workers, and it goes into that again. Then you got the airports. And now what else? Education. Will ballot members whether they're not going to have action or education. This is about digitalisation. In Dubai, Japan, the advancement of AI, they have really advancement in technology. And this England stuff, this is nothing new. This is all pre-designed. So, it's going to be it is already a rough ride, but it's going to get worse. The Royal College of Nursing is all companies. GBM I used to be a member of years ago. I know the company. So, okay, civil service, the public and union company represents civil servant workers about it, and overpay. I won't be too surprised. Then it goes, they call it local government. And should receive a pay increase at least 2,000 each. Worker include web collectors, library, teachers, assistants, care workers. In between all that, people are struggling. Look at this. Also, left hand side. Oh my god. Ministry of Justice Limited Company, its agents claim the buildings were struggling with large backlog of cases, and they do a lot online as well. They will struggle to have enough security personnel. Who has a contract? Sergo is it? Almighty PLC, who has the security contracts for Ministry of Justice in England. And then now they want to calling for 500 one-off payment. That, well, do you tell me elderly disabled people in England are going to get that as well? Well, was it expected to be just printed off the Bank of England and never ending a promise to pay notes? Right. Courts and Tribunal Services Limited Company, every town in the city has one set up, done in battery.co.uk. Says minimal disruption is expected from this proposal action, and will continue to work closely with the, you know what, to remain safety in all court users. They're still going to operate, but they're going to make it more difficult for those that might need support and independently support to deal with these bloody, you know what, especially when they're being set up certain scenarios. The action announced yesterday, so just having a quick nose read through anything that right. If you didn't know, the International Bar Association is a limited company. It has an office on London, and men and women want to practice in Criminal Bar Association, which is another limited company. Strike over government set fees. Do you know how much they earn per hour? This is all, look at it. You want to investigate the history in England, how these Freemasons, the elites, how these corporations, how this bar, the maritime law came into fruition. Right? This is all these people complaining that they're not getting enough from the public purse, known as legal aid, for the advocacy work. But £100 an hour, maybe more, depending on the hours of the work and minutes of work. They accountants, they go by minutes and hours in the contracts, and then sometimes they want the upfront fees before they take a case on. If it's not going to make them any much profit, they won't take a case on. That's how it works. And when you investigate how their system works, it's always looking at mainstream media to compare it to alternative media sources. So when there's all these festivals of the summer going on, and cost of petrol, who can afford? If you're in that position to afford travelling in vehicles, or camping, or go to festivals during the summer, then good luck. If you're not planning ahead and saving what you can and making cheap days out perhaps instead, you know, and if you're fortunate to live by the coast, then good on you. So you see what it says here. Why should the purse or should taxpayers be paying out the burden, you know, per household, you know, and when they want to plan another, you know what, there's a lot of people's opinions going on. And lots of queues of buses, and don't forget food banks. Scare, fear, 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 just be aware. Fear, fear, fear. I bet these people, right, have been taught by their mums and grandmas about how to make the Great Depression period. You know, it's more and how to make your own. You know, your clothes make do what you don't need to keep buying, buying, buying. Don't forget, these are promises to pay notes. You know, you always want to investigate why they brought in the plastic notes. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. Can't log into my bloody bank. This is what the post keep doing overnight. And as I'm in my MBK in a wheelchair, this is all the walk in the wall. See, don't know. Saturday, 16th of July 2022. 3:30 in the morning. That door frame was built properly.
What is the easiest way to make money online using your knowledge in 2022? Is it force creation?
I'm John O'Neill. I graduated from the Naval Academy in 1967. I went over to Vietnam, served. I was heavily decorated there. I graduated at the University of Texas Law School, first in my class, clerk for Justice William Rehnquist at the United States Supreme Court. I tried hundreds of cases in large-scale international litigation. A part of that, for 4 years, I represented the People's Republic of China, their oil ministry, in 2 large cases here in the United States that consumed much of my time. I ceased representing them in any way after the massacre of students at Tiananmen Square, when the Chinese government deliberately killed thousands of Chinese Jews, illegally removed the president of China, the premier of China, and basically fanatics seized control of the government of China. Sarah Wynn, this is the second book we've written together. Our first book was a bestseller about archaeology under the Vatican called The Fisherman's Tomb. Sarah was a honors graduate of the University of Texas in finance, graduate of the University of Texas Law School, and practiced large-scale commercial trial law at Vincent Elkins, a large international law firm here in Houston.
What's up, y'all? It's WristFlex, and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we bring on 2 inside sources, 2 patriots with international law experience. They explain the historical technique that leaders have used to keep we the people in line. Anyone that speaks out in the name of freedom is silenced, particularly celebrities, activists, musicians, businessmen. So in the news media, when we see a suicide at a convenient timing, our sources here have credible evidence to indicate that most of the time these events are not suicides. In their book, they detail very specifically secret organized crime units, secret biolabs. Their book tracks over 1 century of governments using these bioweapons on talented artists and heroes, and then how the governments hide their tracks so people don't know they even have this technology to do it. This video is sponsored by Ageless Glow. Ageless Glow is a lightweight serum that you can put on your face after you get out of the shower. It helps protect your skin from UV radiation, leveling out any fine lines, wrinkles, sagging neck and cheek skin. Putting it on before you get in front of your electronics or the sun can help prevent aging. Each purchase that you make donates a meal to a hungry child in your honor through their partnership with the No Kid Hungry campaign. All you have to do is go to www.glowwithwristflex.com. Again, that's www.glowwithwristflex.com to pick up a bottle for yourself today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please share this around with all of your friends and family to help get the word out, as getting the people on the same page will help us stay united.
Sarah was going to only be a helper on the book until, as she explained, she was afraid of getting involved with her own name on it because of her kids and so on. Given the topic of biowar by both Putin and Xi that are revealed in the book, as well as the sources, some from China and Russia revealed in the book, she was going to assist but didn't want her name on it until incidents occurred beginning in May of 2021. May of 2021, she went down to open the manuscript, and it had already been opened 4.5 hours before. At the suggestion of the FBI, we hired a forensic expert. He concluded that the manuscript had been hacked out of the clouds, that someone had come in through the Apple cloud and entered Sarah's computer and
Actually deleted our manuscript.
much later, a little later, the manuscript and all sources were all deleted. Remember that on this book, some of the sources are Chinese and Russian. Had they been in the cloud, there'd be people dying in China and Russia. They weren't, and they were separately maintained on a thumb drive. At any rate, after that all happened, Sarah put her name on the book too. Conception of the book initially was to write a book about all the people killed by Marxists who had been forgotten. There were probably 60 million in the 20th century, 60 million living human beings, 20 million in Russia and 40 million in China. Stalin said once, killing 1 million people is only a statistic, but if you kill one single person and people learn about that, that can be a great tragedy. And so we wanted to take Stalin at his word, and we took some of the people he murdered, starting with Anna Pavlova, the great dancer, communist Lenin, Gorky, the great Russian writer, Wallenberg, we did their cases, and we learned that Stalin murdered these people using Laboratory 1, which was a poison operation and a biowar operation. It expanded into immense facilities by the late 1930s and expanded into China in the Mao period. And it leaked repeatedly, killed many people. Both biological warfare and poisons are used by both the Putin government and by the Communist Chinese government of Communist China. The book documents very carefully and at great length the fact that the leak is a laboratory creation and that the leaking of it was concealed, that people were killed in China to conceal the leaking of it. U.S. officials have participated in concealing the origin of it. Our book does cover Shang is another one. In addition to Fan Bingbing, Shang is the second greatest movie star of China, likewise as Vicious and Cleveland. China's first Nobel Prize winner.
Discussing this doctrine of cultural hegemony, Stalin actually targeted musicians, Kobzars, that for generations had played on the Ukrainian steppes. And
think of country western singer. That's what the Kobzars were. There were guys that played a deal called a Kobzar that was like a mandolin. And it was made a capital offense to sing their songs or to even have their instruments anywhere in the Ukraine.
Why did he want them gone?
He wanted them gone because their songs of Ukrainian nationalism and of freedom were opposed to his ideal that everything should be centrally controlled by him. Our book, The Answer and the Devil, goes into Putin a good bit as well as Xi. But 4 weeks ago now, a family, the Protestanians in Spain, there was a husband, a wife, and a daughter. The daughter was roughly 16 years old. When the police came, the husband was hung. He had hung. The wife and daughter had been chopped up with an axe and cut into pieces and so on. Police in Moscow claimed it was a suicide. It was the eighth suicide of people identified with the Russian oil interests in a period of time since the beginning of the Ukrainian war. Most of them committed suicide and then chopped up or killed their entire families, including their little kids.
these were not murder-suicides.
These were Leonid murders. The purpose of them was to be as deniable suicides to the West, but every single person in Russia knows what happened. Everybody in Russia knows that the message was, if you defy Vladimir Putin, we'll not only kill you, but we'll kill your wife and we'll kill your little kids. You'll all die, all of you, and you'll die horribly. And so that was the purpose of all those killings, 8 families so far.
8 oligarchs and their families.
I remember that. I remember hearing about them all dying. What did they do specifically that wasn't liked?
We'll never know, really. They were all involved in the oil and gas industry. There are sanctions against Russia that are supposed to cut off Russia's sale of oil and gas. Well, this is Putin's lifeblood. He depends on this each day. Without selling oil and gas, there's nothing there. The speculation is these people were providing information about how he was selling it to the people that were trying to enforce the sanction. That seems to be the likely reason why he killed them.
So when you see people that are like mysteriously passing away all over the world when they were, in a similar position where they maybe knew a lot of information and they could potentially leak it, it's pretty safe to say that we have the technology that could make somebody mysteriously die, and it could look like they died because of one thing, but really it's some like elite thing that was engineered in a biolab.
We have multiple examples of that.
We got to the point where we just put appendixes in with people's names because we couldn't discuss all of
keep
them.
up with all of them.
First of all, some of these killings are done traceable on purpose. That is, they use a nerve poison called Novichok, and now everybody knows Novichok means that the Russians killed them, so they use Novichok.
Like Alexis Navalny or Alexander Litvinenko.
And then others are still concealed killings. For example, after there was a family called the Scruples, and they were in England, and the Scruples suddenly got ill. Novichok was used for them, and so it was pretty apparent that it must have been some Russian, but nobody knew who. Well, the British Secret Service had cameras, and they actually caught the images of the murderers, of the people who arrived with the poison. And so they caught, and they knew exactly then who the murderers were. What was the name of the
It's a
unit?
unit, it's called Unit 29155, and they've been traced back to at least 14 murders in London.
Those are all people that nobody knew who or how or why they died, and that was just in one country, in England.
It's a current version of the Yasha gang we discussed in Paris in the 1930s.
So yeah, they can wipe them out. Sometimes they do it in a way that they want people to know about. Other times they do what's called a liternoi killing. That is, all of a sudden you've got pneumonia and you just pass away from pneumonia, and nobody ever picks up that it's really anthrax.
A non-traceable poisoning.
Or potassium, or other deals for a heart attack.
So there could be specific ingredients that are found in people when they die that help people understand what country killed that person.
Yeah, absolutely. The way these guys practiced in Lab 1, which we now have records of, is they would take prisoners. One of the prisoners was Wallenberg. Wallenberg was one of the great humanitarians of human history. They actually tested poisons on Wallenberg and denied that they even knew where he was. He had saved 100,000 Jewish people in the Second World War.
They denied where he was for years after his death.
In any event, they would take, and after you killed someone, they would take the body to the coroner at the Central Hospital in Moscow. If the coroner concluded that it was a natural death, everybody got a bonus. Everybody,
They celebrated. That was
they
the goal.
celebrated and got a big bonus because they had been able to disguise, and that's how they practiced. They practiced using what they called the prisoners' birdies. They used to play the radio as they died to obliterate their screams so that people wouldn't hear them screaming.
There was a prison, a very famous prison called the Lubyanka, that was actually later connected via tunnel, and they would take prisoners to Lab 1 and run all of these horrific tests on them. Our website, www.dancerandevil.com. There we have photographs, lots of information, other media news, and we invite people to visit the site to learn more.
And they can also buy it on Amazon if they want to, but we hope they'll buy it on our own website. But anyway, we've written 2 other books that were both bestsellers. We wrote this book, and it's harder with this book because of the influence of the Chinese, frankly, on the publishing and on the...
You said that your book was hacked. Did you ever find out who hacked it? While Sarah was writing this book, her drafts were hacked and much of it was deleted.
Also, we hired the computer forensic expert, and then I contacted him again after we learned the manuscripts had been deleted. He ran a multitude of tests. Apple ran tests. It was concluded that the breach happened in the Apple iCloud as opposed to on my hard drive of my computer. And so that should hit home for everyone, because who doesn't save documents into the cloud? I thought it was safe. I was password protected, and easily a year's worth of work was deleted.
So it disappears in the cloud, and you can't track beyond the cloud. But what they all told us, everybody was sort of a smile, is that there's only one government in the world that owns they call it owning the Apple cloud.
They said China owns the Apple cloud.
China owns the Apple cloud. So anything that goes into the Apple cloud, China has.
Have a backup on a flash drive, I learned.
We've loved it on your show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We really enjoyed it. Thank you.
What is the easiest way to make money online using your knowledge in 2022? Is it course creation, freelancing,